off to a brilliant start. Welcome to Lead with LeAnn, your definitive guide for exceptional leadership and successful entrepreneurship, airing every week at 2 p.m. Pacific time exclusively on winwinwomen.tv. I'm your host, LeAnn, and I am thrilled to be sharing this journey with you each week on Lead with LeAnn. You'll join me as we delve into the inspiring stories, and I've got a great one today, of established leaders and innovative entrepreneurs. Will uncover just what it takes to build a brand. And I just got distracted because this is live, folks. If you're watching the recording, that's all good. But I want to get rid of the screen if you don't mind, and I'm going to continue. So one moment. There we go. How's that? All right. So every week, live, you will join me as we delve into the inspiring stories of established leaders and innovative entrepreneurs. We'll uncover just what it takes to build a brand from scratch, lead with authority and grace, and turn business aspirations into tangible success. Our show is not only about imparting knowledge, it's about creating a community. It's a space for us to laugh, learn, and leap forward together in our quests for professional and personal growth. Whether you're embarking in a new entrepreneurial adventure or looking to inject some fresh energy into an existing one, there will always be insights for you here. So get ready for thought-provoking conversation, enlightening insights, actionable advice, and the support of a network of champions, the win-win philosophy, and learn to lead with passion, purpose, and determination right here on Lead with LeAnn. Let's #lead together. So today, Andrea, the global voice Mason from AndreaMasons.com, has over 2 decades and a degree of experience in personal and professional development in social work and psychology. She is certified as a global motivational speaker and coach under the mentorship of, quote, the one and the only Dr. Les Brown, as well as a certified small business entrepreneur, certified professional organizer, yay, and Amazon's #1 best-selling international author, contributing her heartfelt story to an international anthology. She's a featured speaker on several global magazines, New York City's Latino Travel Fest 2023 featured speaker, and last but not least, Andrea is your personal accountability coach and popular global voice and CEO of Press Play, Plan Life According to You LLC. Andrea arrived in the United States of America at 11 months old, weighing only 11 pounds, with these angelic numbers, 1111, ushering her into the land of free. She became an inspirational living testimony that big dreams can and do come true, and went from victim to victorious. She helps achieve personal freedom through the healing power of forgiveness, through the journey of how to press play, plan life according to you, and author of the newly published book of her life story thus far, Victim to Victorious. Welcome, Andrea. Are you there? Come on. Ah, there she is. What I
Hello,
do?
hello. How are you doing? Great job. I'm so honored and privileged to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm always reading these like international speaker and Les Brown trained, and I'm like, and it's okay. It's
You
okay.
did well, and that's
Yes,
all that matters.
thank you.
Yes.
And that's part of like just being human. I'm
Yes.
so over
Authentic.
perfection. I'm
Yes.
so over perfection.
Yes. There's no
What
such
did
thing,
I
just actions towards progression.
miss? So what did I miss? What else? Tell us about you.
Let's see. What did you miss? Well, I'm adoptee during the cartel of Colombia, South America. And I have a blank slate for I don't have any photographs or images from my family. And I just fail forward in my life and everything that I've done. So failing is part of my journey, and I love to fail because I get a takeaway message after each loss. I change it into a lesson.
Hmm. What?
Uh,
Speechless. That is not something you hear a lot of people say. Failing forward is something people talk about, but looking forward to it, isn't that what you just said? You
Yes, I look forward to it because if I'm not failing, I've learned in my life I'm not trying. And the
Mm,
greats say that, if you fail, at least you've made the attempt, but you're also allowing yourself to personally grow through it because that's what connected with me with Les Brown. I remember him over the sound waves saying, "Are you going through it or are you growing through it?" And that what has made us kindred spirits, both adoptees, not knowing our families, and now becoming impactful, influential worldwide.
mm, phenomenal. And how did that journey begin?
So it started when I was young, actually. I came into America at 11 pounds, at 11 months old, which for most individuals, that's the poster child that you see on the TV wanting to donate with the distended stomachs and malnourished. I had so many ailments that I was barely making it. And so I was welcomed in open arms with unconditional love of my parents. They were American. And so I didn't look like them. And something innate kind of was authentic about myself, the way I learned, the way I interacted it with individuals. And on the first and foremost, on the forefront was our features. I'm from South America and they're from America. So it was a little bit different, as well as what I call growing up in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Everybody knew each other, everybody was, polite and connected. But I was the different of the bunch, if you will. So it was kind of a jagged pill to swallow. They welcome my family was very well known in our community of services and just being social. And when I was growing up, it was a little bit different. I went to school and I didn't look like the other kids.
Mm,
And I'll never forget, I was probably around 7 years old. And we had like meetings when families come to visit the school or you have projects. And they said, "Wow, you don't look like your parents." I said, "Well, I was adopted." And they're like, "Oh, so your parents didn't want you?" And LeAnn, that was the stepping stone of
ah,
what was yet to come.
wow, that is intense. Because as I'm listening to your story, I'm thinking, okay, she's 11 months old. I've had an 11-month-old, very engaging. Both of them were walking at that age, not good. One was
Right.
super tiny, though, like you.
Hmm. Right.
And but, you know, 11 months old,
Yeah.
wouldn't that have been your community growing up? Wouldn't that have
Right.
been the neighborhood that you were part of? But you're saying that it really wasn't somehow.
Amongst my peers, kids could be cruel at times because they don't understand or how they were raised or what they watched or what
Mm,
was ever invested in them. So when you don't look like your parents, is kind of questionable.
sure.
And so that was the tip of the iceberg of years of bullying and abuse going forward from my peers.
Uh,
I
Kids are
didn't fit
awful.
in. Yeah. But it's
We should
it's
stop
really
having
stemmed
them.
from me. But yeah, well, you know what, guys? I've really thought about that over the journey, and I was just like,
Yes?
yeah, kids are kids, but you know what it is? And I'm going to take a different spin on it.
Okay.
Kids may be cruel, but they speak the truth. They
Mm,
speak what they see
sure.
without reserve, regardless if it's positive or the opposite.
Yeah.
And we've lost that ability nowadays.
Mm,
We can't say anything without repercussions.
right.
But
Per-
it's how the presentation is laid out. It's the context. It's the not, as you mentioned before, the nonverbal cues, the social cues, and really understanding your audience and connecting with them.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I have raised two daughters and the
Mhm.
cruelty of even our own neighborhood, and
Mhm.
we didn't have significant differences between our family and the other families, and yet there was the picking on, the exclusion, the
Right.
name calling. And, same thing if I go back to my childhood, name
Mhm.
calling, exclusion, you're not good enough for my daughter from
Right.
another mother whose
Right.
daughter was the only other girl in my neighborhood,
And
and I wasn't good enough.
you know what it kind of stems from, which I'm kind of coaching and helping women understand. Men in one regard, are really about keep it simple, facts, or what have you, right?
Yes.
Unless they're on the playing field, then it's super competitive. Women, I think because we are energy beings, a little bit more nurturing, a little bit more powerful, and a little bit more effervescence and have the essence, if you will, to really know we have the ability to shift and make changes,
Mm,
is we find a bit of ourselves in another female
mm,
that we don't like. And we try to attack that only to realize that's the part we didn't heal or deal with of ourselves. Think about it.
mm.
I
Good.
learned that with cliques amongst teenage girls. I've
Mm,
learned that amongst corporations where it was predominantly women. I've learned that in a community based of, you know, what is it called? I don't watch TV, but the housewives, of, like,
yeah,
those housewives,
those
right?
housewives, right?
I, whatever. But that's what I think of. We know we have the capability, but we use that strength to conquer and divide as opposed to rise and unite. Because I'll be honest, when I worked for male corporations where I was only the female or the slight small percentage of female,
Hmm.
I got things done. They didn't want to hear this, and that. They didn't have time for that. They just wanted the results, no
Yeah.
excuses. But when I did work in female corporations, whether it was run by female or predominant female, I was constantly walking around on eggshells.
Yeah.
What am I wearing? And what is she saying when I'm not invited to the water cooler, when I'm not invited to lunch? You think about it. And I think we need to really break that cycle that society has ingrained to us because it pushed us down so far that we're not good enough, that now we attack each other in the henhouse. So let's fuel that energy and fail forward.
Wonderful. I just had a conversation with another strong female leader in business this morning, and we
Mhm.
talked about that. And she said, "LeAnn, I just don't even understand women in business."
Yes.
And turns out, I found out she has a background as an
Mhm.
electrician
Yes.
in construction.
Yes.
So, yeah, you want to talk about a male-dominated field. She's
Yeah.
an electrician in construction with a general contractor's background. And yeah, she gets stuff done. She does not waste time on all the, oh, pat your back and how you feeling. And, just she's not caring. She
Right.
does care,
Right.
but she's going to get to the point and get things moved through. And I think in my life, I'm very much the same way. Like facts are facts. Let's move forward.
Yes.
I found a post on Facebook just yesterday. I have a lot of people say this, like, well, next, right?
Right. Right.
And this one said, plot twist. And
That's
I thought that's
awesome.
actually perfect for a reader as
Yes.
well. You go through life and suddenly there's a plot twist. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah. One of the posts that I posted a long time ago, it was a meme and it says, "You don't have to like me and I don't have to care."
Yep.
And it was a woman just kind of fist pumping in the air. And
Hmm.
I think what we have to be mindful is where our focus flows, our energy will go.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
say that all the time. I grew up not only in a different neighborhood where I didn't look like my neighbors and community, but in the same regard, all of my cousins were male. So I was hanging out on the football field, watching football and everything. So I didn't really have that femininity quality, probably limited even today, because I was just so focused on the facts, focused on the end game, focused on, you know, what I needed to do, which helped me in one regard stay focused, determined, driven, and dedicated, but then failed me when I
Mm.
needed that nurturance when I had the loss of my
Yeah.
mothers per se, because, I had a birth mom and a mom who raised me.
Plot twist.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
So,
Yeah, there's an organization that I've worked with, I'll say even trained with for the past 2 years, and we talk there about four energies.
Mhm.
and the being Zeus energy, you can imagine.
Mm. Mhm.
Fairly, but it's the energy that a lot of women don't carry very much.
Right.
Aspirational energy, that, that visionary, that, the aspirational energy, fairly self-explanatory as well.
Mhm.
Goddess energy,
Mhm.
not my favorite term, but it's the chosen term. So just that
Mhm.
ability though to nurture, to be that.
Mhm.
And then fun energy, like plot twist,
Mm. Mhm.
the ability to change the energy, change and not fun energy is often more of an uplifting energy when used properly,
Right.
but it can also be incredibly harmful and improperly used. So all
Mm.
the energies need to be used, um, in all of our speaking, even in my presentation, in my introduction,
Mhm.
knowing this, if you think through, I wasn't just monologue reading. There's
Yes.
energies that we put into what we do. Likewise, though,
Totally.
we have to learn those.
Mhm.
And so how do you learn those? So how did you learn more, how that goddess energy essentially that you needed when you needed it?
Well, the energy came into fact probably when I started my forgiveness journey,
Mm,
because it was so prominent that my inspiration, if you will, my mother was always there for me. My father was my hero, but he was always seen with my eyes closed, working late, coming home late, and then maybe catch a soccer game or a piano recital or a social outing on the weekends if his job permits.
yeah.
And when I lost my mother, even just the context of how I lost her, due to, you know, um, a debilitating medical condition,
Mm,
I just suppressed it. I was like, no, I'm just not going to deal with it right now. I'll deal with it later. And I just dove full force
mm,
into my work. And I was just going through the motions where probably for approximately 2 years straight, consecutively, 365 days times two, just going to the gravesite. Wind, sleep, state of emergency, before work, after work, in the middle of work, days off, weekends, holidays, until it was snapped. Wait a minute. She's not there.
mm,
She's here. And when I embodied, embraced that, I had to forgive spiritually that she was taken. I had
mm,
to forgive her for not fighting harder. And then I had to forgive myself to put the power in their decisions on how I was going to act. So that turned into the awareness of empathy.
mm.
And that's where the femininity came to fruition.
So you dove into work there with,
Yes.
with that process, and then you said that was also again that moment. And I had a couple moments in 2023 as well, where suddenly it was
Mhm.
like a light bulb went on. Like the
Right.
numbers didn't change, the opportunity didn't change, and suddenly I saw a whole different vision. So things can happen in an instant that you can't even a minute later earlier you couldn't see.
Right. Well, actually, in that interim, after I got the notification from my loved ones, she's not there.
Yeah.
That's when the straw brought the camel's back, because I immediately ended up 9 years later going into the ICU unit and to the hospital on my, how do I say this? I said it correctly because I'm very particular with my wording.
Uh,
Words are spells. In my test of faith bed in the hospital where they didn't know how long and they didn't know the duration. So I was diagnosed with stage 5 myasthenia gravis, shutdown of autoimmune conditions,
wow.
unable to breathe, unable to move, unable to utilize my limbs, unable to eat, the whole nine. Just went to work one day, and then next day I realized that I wasn't feeling well. The work took me to the hospital, was cleared. The next day they found something, they called me in. I woke up in the ICU unit. So it was that aha moment where if I wasn't allowing myself to heal, I wasn't facing the facts of what was going on and feeling the emotions that a greater power decided to say, all right, we're going to cut the switch. Now you have to think
Yeah.
what's your destination?
I know
What do you decide?
you had a quote earlier that you said Les Brown says, but it's similar, I think, to life happens for us, not to us.
Yes.
And
Yes.
in that way, you learn or you grow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's, there is no fail, essentially, although fail forward at the same time.
Right.
Um, there's so many ideas around that. I'm curious, though. You said you've worked for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same work then as you're doing now, or was
No,
there a shift because of it? Ah,
there was a huge shift. I was working. I dedicated about over 2 decades of my life into the mental health industries, from infancy to geriatrics, from homeless to penitentiaries,
wow.
to on the street, to drug busts, to having to contact and outsource services to remove families from the home. And as it progressed, I was encouraged internally to not follow suit anymore. I didn't want to follow the logistics. I didn't want to follow the paper trails. I didn't want to follow reading people's charts and pre-diagnoses and conditions. I wanted to go in there and talk to them like it was because it was someone's family
Yeah,
member. And when I started doing that, although the clients and the caseloads were grateful, wasn't too accepted for logistical reasons, but also safety reasons for me to go in these conditions,
sure.
just blindsided. So when that occurred, I decided, all right, I'm going to go into now the wellness, holistic, nutritional realm. And I endured that. I embodied that because I realized over case studies and research, statistics, and so forth, that we have the ability to heal ourselves spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, etc. And when I learned those trades, then I was able to marry social work of the cultural diversities of individuals all around, their lifestyles, beliefs, and cultures, in conjunction with their mindset of why they do what they do and don't do what they do, but now have strategies and techniques of the mindset and inspiration and how they can alter their perspectives. And I was at the peak of my career, and then the world changed.
Oh,
And
I can't
so,
imagine what you're talking about.
yes. So all the doors have closed for the world. And I was like, right, another
Ah,
failure. Cool. Now what? And that was the stepping stone of when Les Brown and myself connected, because
wow.
it was a
So,
higher calling, and I took the opportunity and made the very first LeAnn financial, emotional, personal investment into myself.
wow. Okay. So again, I'm like a timeline person. I'm
Yeah,
laying this
no
out. I'm like,
worries.
boom, boom, boom.
Sure.
So we got, and I don't have specific dates and that's fine.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you said basically 9 years after the trauma of losing your mother.
Right.
And then you're still working in social work and you're still doing all this. I want to make sure I got this
Yep.
just, and
Correct.
then,
You're right.
and then you had this physical
Shut
break,
down.
let's just call shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you recover from that, you go into and discover the whole wellness thing. How long did that period last
That
before
lasted for about
before
three
2020?
years. About 3 years.
3 years.
I was really enjoying it. I loved what I did. Go in early, stay late. And what I got the benefits of, because the center was equipped not only with nutrition, but also machinery and strategies and exercises and techniques to keep you well. I
Yeah.
lived there longer than I lived at home. So I would go in there
Sure.
just excited,
Yeah.
driven.
Yeah.
And, we had the, amazing technique and technology, that was crazy. There was one that was called a photomyobodulation bed. which is
Wow.
now red light therapy bed,
Oh,
which can restore stem cells. It looks like a sauna, but it restores stem cells.
mhm.
LeAnn, I just had everything at my fingertips. I had
Wow.
the opportunity to meet new individuals who wanted services, not forced into it. I had individuals who were reversing MS, neuropathy, mindset, condition, mental health, exercise, diabetes. They were reversing all this on their own will in conjunction with the affiliate corporation we were working with. I was at my best self. I was at the happiest I've ever been because I was helping people and seeing results. And then the world changed. So that has been the underlying thread of my journey. When you think you're at the top, let's bring you back to reality and start over again to test your will of faith.
I don't think you're alone there, my friend. Watch a few other episodes. Yes.
But
Yeah.
there's very few, we do all experience it, but there's very few that, the cliches, pain into power, pain into gain, loss into lesson,
Mm,
you know, survive into thrive. These are all guests and the people in the industries that are doing this right now.
mhm.
But I want to help more. I want to show more. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. That's my mission, to
Yeah.
be a living testimony, regardless of what you go through. There's a piece of me in every single one of you, regardless of gender, creed, background, socioeconomic status, or what. Because why? There's three things we want to do in life: be respected, unconditionally loved,
Mm.
and understood.
100%. And I think, well, I'm going to follow up with a little something similar, just because your three things reminds me of something else. I was mentioned on a radio podcast recently, and then the featured guest transitioned to a martial arts story. So, fun fact: I have my black belt, and that's how I met that featured guest. Is he and I met in a weight room on a cruise ship because I was
Wow.
practicing my black belt kata, and it caught his attention. He came over,
Wow.
we had a conversation, and years later, we're in business together, which is
That's
fun.
awesome.
So, but he said that he learned from a grandmaster in martial arts. He said, what is the meaning of life? What is, and this gentleman replied to the grandmaster, well, I put a lot of thought into this. I think it's A, B, and C. And the grandmaster said, I'm going to tell you the real meaning of life. It's relationships, relationships, and relationships. That's it.
Yeah.
And, I think as we go through these challenges, and I've got my own going through at the moment, and as we go through these things, we have to come back to that, the relationships, no matter what changes. And there's some changes happening in the world. There were changes that happened in 2020. But when changes happen, your relationships that stick with you, those are the ones that matter.
Right.
you know and figuring out, like, if you're in a transition with, especially with other people maybe in the same transition or not. Let's take, for instance, I talked with a friend. She's been in network marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Network marketing companies are amazing. She's been in several. One just flat out one day said, oh, by the way, we're closed.
Mm.
Well, what do you
Yeah.
do with that? But she still had the relationships with all of the people that she'd been working with, and they just transitioned as en masse, more or less, to a new opportunity. And you could do that because you had relationships. So
And that is
I'm
something
wondering
I
what that stirs up for you.
that actually stirs up a lot because, you know, they say people come and go in your life just like seasons for a reason.
Mm,
Some you learn who you want to be, who you don't want to be, and what you don't want. But I usually look at the stem or the root cause of what got us connected initially. What was it? Was a post? Was it a, comment? Was it a
mm,
loss, a common thread? But then I look even further before technology in friendships. what sparked our, did we work together? Did we have the same group of friends, same interests? And that's what allows you to become yourself. What do they say? They say the top five people the top five people you surround yourself with is who you're going to be. Something of that sort, paraphrased, of course.
Money.
And
Go after your own
my,
money.
right. But at the same token, I don't even know if I would be mindful of that money because money comes and goes,
Sure.
but it's the quality that I learned from people, that, what? Hey, you know what? My life isn't all that bad, or my life isn't that good. You know what I mean? It can always be better or bitter. It's how you look about it. And that's what the perspective is and perception. One of the great quotes Les says is, someone's opinion of you doesn't define who you are. And that
Right.
was a really jagged pill for me to swallow because, again, going back to my childhood and adolescence, I was always felt defined by who I was. I was the person outcasted. I was the one shoved into lockers. I was the one and shoved into garbage cans. I was the one who ate my lunch in the bathroom. So you kind of, it also depends on the maturity and experience level, because if you're having all of things occur to you, it's like, well, can't be the only one wrong, you know? Everybody's doing this, so something is triggering them because there's more of them than me. But then you learn how to build that confidence.
Mhm.
Where's the source coming from? And that's what the industry helped me learn, social work and psychology. It's not a reflection of you, it's of them. Be mindful of source, of how it's presented, what's their intention, where is your attention.
Mhm.
And that's where I started the life transformational journey.
Wow. And we're gonna get just in a few minutes because wow, flying time is just flying by
When you have
fast.
fun.
When you have fun, absolutely. It's interesting the I'm gonna go back to the five people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
They do talk about that in a financial term.
Hmm.
But in part, if you think about it, what is finance other than another form of energy?
Hmm.
And energy transference. And
Right.
so by all means, let's talk about teachers. I was a teacher. My daughter's been a teacher. My best friend just left teaching after 32 years.
God,
Are
thank you.
teachers Do teachers get paid what they put into
Hmm.
their students and so forth? Probably not,
Right.
mostly. But it's also one reason why many teachers now are leaving the profession because they just
Hmm.
what they're being expected to do right now is so much higher than what they are being financially valued at. But when you go to the five people, there
Hmm.
is something to the effect of if you're spending time with people that have a job mindset or an entrepreneurial mindset,
Hmm.
you're going to be dealing with different people that are very different mindsets.
Right.
And so the very different mindset does have an impact, I believe, on ultimately where your finances may fill out. If you're spending time with millionaires or you're
Hmm.
spending time with people that work at Target,
Hmm.
you're going to have different conversations.
Right. And it's also, I believe, you know, what you're gaining from it. What are you looking for with your connections, your
Mhm.
relationships? Are you
Right.
looking it for a lesson? Are you looking for it to be reciprocal? Or are you looking for it to be a partnership where you can pay it forward?
Yeah.
And that's what I learned. That's why I always go to the best of the best when I need to learn something. I'll be the first one to say, I still remember when I told my family, yeah, I'm gonna reach out to Les Brown. They're like, yeah, good luck with that. Like that you've lived your whole life in the shadows, always helping others, never taking credit, never, putting your name to your work and behind the scenes. What are you gonna think of? Like, what do you think he's just gonna, oh, of course, it's Andrea Mason. Absolutely. No, I believed in myself. This is what I wanted to do. The stars were in alignment and I went to the top of the top. And that is how I live my life always. If I wanted something bad enough, I'm going to go to source
Mhm.
regardless. And that's how I've always fall forward. I would fail, but all right, who's the best of the best at that?
Yeah.
And what are my techniques and what will I not stop to get to that person? And that's how I've really built my confidence and connections.
And by the way, put yourself in the realm of people that are
Right.
achieving what you wanted to achieve and where
Right.
you wanted to go and where you also could contribute. So that's a beautiful story.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
since 2020, since meeting Les Brown, since doing
Yes.
all that, tell us where you're at now and what you're offering and how people can connect with you, what they can do with you now.
Absolutely. So, since that time, I have been successful, as mentioned in my bio, spoke as a featured speaker in New York City Latino Travel Fest. I have contributed an anthology internationally that made one bestseller. I have also conducted my own podcast, Unleashing the Champion Within, where I spotlight individuals and their stories. Champion doesn't have to be defined as an athlete or a trade. It's finding that inner strong self within. And recently in September, I was successfully able with the book launch of Les Brown and Lauren Hudson to release Victim to Victorious, my personal story, homage to my mom. There she is. And my
Mhm.
dad's on the back. He is in the picture on how I went from victim to victorious. And there's a guideline tool and as gifts to the audience with LeAnn, I definitely encourage you to reach me at my email address, am.pressplay@yahoo.com, to redeem your complimentary gift of connection to get you started the path less traveled, to choose to press play, plan life according to you, LLC.
Absolutely. Wonderful. And
Yes.
for those of you following this, you can of course reach out to us. We have a link that we can get to you if you are a follower. We
Yes.
typically email this out anyway, so you'll get that. Go ahead and look for that. And wow, what a blessing to spend this time with you and
Yes.
hear
Thank
your
you. The
story
pleasure's
face
all
to
mine.
face. And
Mhm.
what part of the country are you in? I forget.
Yes, so I'm in the northeastern region of the United States, and I am truly excited because I just also, just to mention, started bringing the world together with Andrea Mason, with kings and queens, ambassadors, and global affiliates on a platform to bring them to the community and resources, remembering where they came from.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
thank
Well,
you.
I
Thank
did
you so
hear,
much.
by the way, Vermont had the highest number of people moving into it in the whole nation
Yes.
for the third
Yes.
year in a row.
Wow. It's, yeah, a
What?
little bit too cold for me, but yes.
I'm thinking that has to be
No, bunny, it's
proportional.
nature.
That has
It's
to be
nature.
percentage. That can't.
Yes.
I'm thinking Texas, Florida, they're pretty big states.
Yes.
A lot of people move there.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for spending this time. We are going to, for the live streaming audience, we're going to be disconnecting this replay. Of course, you're always welcome to come back to get more nuggets. You're going to get so many more nuggets the more you watch this. So come on back and find the replays. Of course, we're available at winwinwomen.tv. You can find all of my shows as well as this replay and feel free to share it with your friends. So we're super blessed. Thank you, Andrea, for being here.
Thank you so
And
much.
we're going to continue the conversation privately with the people who are here in our Zoom room.
Excellent.
So hang on. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to say goodbye for the replay. So have a beautiful and blessed day. Come on back next week, 2 p.m. Pacific time, for Lead with LeAnn. I promise I'm bringing somebody amazing, just like I did this week. Thank you so much.